Welcome to Spirited Straight Talk, the podcast to help you thrive with the help of spirit. I'm Deb Shepard, psychic medium, spiritual teacher, and author. Each week, I bring new insights to help you heal from loss, connect with spirit, and turn setbacks into triumphs. So let's get started. I've been in times in my life, and I'm sure this audience that's listening, and I know you and I've talked about this, Dana.
Yes.
But those individuals that you're with, that they seem to just drain you dry.
They're vampires.
They're vampires.
They are soul suckers, we call them.
Yes. And they may not be someone current, but there can also be those relationships we've had in the past. Mm-hmm. And we think we're over, we're done. However, if that name shows up, or we go through photos and see them, or we talk about them, or we have a dream about them, all of a sudden we're feeling like we're right back there again in that scenario. Mm-hmm. And most of the time when those things come up, they're not the good memories. They're actually the stories of the trauma and the things we experience. And we wonder, how do I get rid of this? I mean, I've worked with clients that thought, I've been divorced for 30 years from my husband, but he's still in my dreams. How come? You know, those types of situations. Or they had a coworker that really affected their career. And there's many times that there's triggers in a more recent job where they feel, am I going back in that scenario again? So there's, instead of going into trusting and having those tools, they go back into the fear and the feeling like they don't have control. Mm-hmm. And a lot of things can come up. And I know when it happens to me, I can have a couple days of feeling sad or tired or angry.
Yeah. Yeah. You scare me when that happens.
And you think for a long time, oh, you know, this is a long time ago, I've worked around it. And as you know, when I teach in my classes and my mentoring, is you may have dealt with certain things, but they keep coming back into your life because we're learning about things. So even though
the layers of the onion, you always say, right?
So it may not be that same individual, but it might be a similar situation where we're, you know, traveling back to that time. So today's topic is about cord cutting and understanding how we can release the energy of certain individuals in our lives, or stories, or whatever you want to call it, so we don't have to have that energy taken from us.
So tell me, why is it called cord cutting?
I look at it, when I see it or talk about it, I always think about the umbilical cord. There's that life connection. Mm-hmm. And so everyone you meet, every experience you have, you can energetically connect. And think about the time.
It's like plugging in.
Plugging in.
Okay, got it.
So let's say you meet somebody and you're like, wow, I'm connected to this person. We do connect. And then other people, you're like, I can't wait to run. You know, you want to unplug. And even when you leave, you're still feeling that energy on you. And you talk about it for a couple of days going, oh, this gave me the...
I'm kind of feeling that right now.
Yes. So
we may or may not have some cords we need to cut.
Cords we need to cut. And it doesn't mean that you don't care about the individual. You want anything negative to happen. And that's what people think, like, well, what's going to happen to them? Well, it's not about that. It's just setting those boundaries. So that's their energy and you have yours. So you're not taking theirs and they're not taking yours. And it's much healthier to be able to determine and use your intuition when all those cords are not in you.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
It's like if everyone's hanging on you, you're not going to be able to really do what you want to do. So you're just putting
if that cord is still attached, you are still likely to give them your energy, even though you don't want to.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. One of the things they talk about in cord cutting is they talk about letting go of the situation. And that's not something I teach. I don't talk about letting go. If a situation keeps showing up in your life, that means there's another layer of the lesson or the situation that you're here to learn. So did you not have boundaries? Did you not see your value? Was this person overwhelming and trying to control you? These things are going to...
Were they a bully and kept poking at you? Right.
And so if they keep coming up, you want to look at your history, you want to look at your life and see these patterns. Because what you want to do in the future after you do these cord cuttings is when they show back up to pay attention so that you can cut that cord quickly.
So you say letting go isn't really how you teach. Well, is it more like releasing?
I think it's about taking the intention and saying, I don't want to have this energy in me. if this lesson keeps coming up, like let's say you kept being abandoned or hurt or bullied by somebody, when you go back into that scenario again and feel it, you actually feel like sometimes you're in that place. So instead of finding the tools to say, I don't want to be a victim, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm not going to allow these things. So I'm going to have my voice. I'm going to
set your boundaries.
You're going to figure out different ways to address the next time this happens. But the cord cutting is allowing you to say, I'm going to deal with my stuff and you can deal with yours. You're not getting energy from me and I'm not giving you my energy and vice versa. So it just helps you be more in your power.
So what if that person keeps poking at you, even though you've done a cord cutting? Does that mean, is it just that after you do a cord cutting ritual, maybe you are in a space where you're not allowing their energy to mess with you anymore? Or is it that they feel that and you're kind of guiding them away from you into their own space?
Yes. And you want to do it with love. You don't want to do
with love, always.
You don't want to do it with mean intention and all those things.
I love you and I'm letting you go your own way.
You're no longer my teacher. I believe that they can reconnect because we haven't allowed that time for the healing.
Okay.
So you may need to do a cord cutting several times until you feel like it's really released for you. Like you're not really taking it on. And then you're doing the work of the healing. So
should it be daily?
Details here. I think
I know I want to know, but I also know if I'm asking the question, others are going to be like, how often do I need to cut the cord?
I think the biggest thing that I teach you is I don't want you to go into fear that you're doing it wrong or you're not doing it enough. I think you have to use your intuition to understand how you're feeling. So pay attention. You may want to journal and start thinking about how you're feeling before the cord cutting and then what you're feeling after the cord cutting. Okay. And if you're going back into that energy again, go, I need to do this again. To me, the visual I got when you said that is if you want to exercise a muscle, it's going to take a few times because you need to retrain that muscle. And to me, that's the same thing. You're intuitively training your intuitive muscles to be able to say, this is a boundary. Okay. You're there, stay there.
So this is an exercise, but a ritual you can perform when you feel that you need to remind yourself, your energy, and the universe about
its intention.
Its intention. Yeah.
And this can even include someone who has passed.
Okay.
So if you're carrying a lot of guilt or shame about someone that has crossed over, this cord cutting is going to help you understand, is this judgment that you're feeling? Is it shame that you need to do some work on or healing? And then you can look deeper into what you can do to shift your physical energy as well. The cord cutting is just giving you that clarity. That ritual is putting the intention, because I love feng shui. And feng shui is all about energy and putting things in a certain place so that you have things that you want to manifest. So if you want, a support system or a relationship or income or money, you're putting that intention, and cord cutting rituals are just the same. And all cultures have rituals. So this is no different. It's finding one of those things that, hey, this is going to work for me, where I want to do some healing. I want to reflect on this, but I don't want to carry the burden around. And as you know, one of my things I have people do in my classes is carrying the brick or the rock or whatever around for several days.
Yeah.
And part of that is to let them know the weight of that belief or feeling that they're carrying.
Fear, whatever it is. So baggage.
The baggage you're carrying. And that's what cord cutting is doing. It's allowing you to say, I don't want to carry this with me.
Sounds like the brick should lead into the next ritual of cord cutting.
I don't want to carry this with me. And I want to release it so I can then be in my power and I can learn these lessons that I'm here to learn. That's all it is. And it's not hurting somebody else, but remembering that these people that are in our lives that may have caused us some pain are our teachers. And what are we learning? And
we're learning that we are always the student.
Always.
And we are never the teacher.
Always. And you're not enlightened until you have had multiple lifetimes. So if it comes up, don't think that you've already learned that lesson, because if it's coming back up, it says you're not done, which is a big thing. So if we think about an imaginary cord, rope cord, I always think of like a tube or a straw. That's
A
kind of,
straw.
like, because it's that tube of energy.
Okay.
That you're connected with that other person. So a long tube.
I think of a rope.
Yeah, rope. For me, it has to be hollow.
Okay.
For me,
the energy to flow through it.
For me to go,
Gotcha.
I don't want to have that anymore. But again, it doesn't matter. There's no wrong or right. Also, taking time, because sometimes there may be some emotions that come up when you're doing this cord cutting, because you may feel as if you're shutting down maybe the love. And that has nothing to do with it. What you're saying is, I love you for whatever reasons, but I also need to get my power back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing I teach about staying in your own lane.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has their lessons to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And by not having everyone cross your boundaries, it allows you to do your own work and not be confused.
Mm-hmm.
So
and by not crossing boundaries, you allow others to learn their lessons.
Yes, it's their job.
Right.
And they may not want to.
I think I've been around Deb Shepherd long enough, because when you say something, it reminds me of, oh yeah, that's what I've heard you teach this, is stay in your own lane, but don't cross into somebody else's lane either without their permission.
Mm-hmm. And if someone thinks they have to get someone's permission or things like that to cord cut, no, because it's not about harm. It's about really taking a cleansing.
Yeah.
And this is the example I'm getting. We have a really large tree in our backyard, and the roots are high, so that it's going into our patio in that area. Mm-hmm. And so it's not destroying the tree, it's managing what's going on. What do we do with those roots? What do we do with that patio in order for everything to be okay? So you're not doing something negative. You're just managing. I'm going to use the word energy, because that's what this is all about. Mm-hmm. If you feel like you have a lot of people you need to cord cut, you may want to just do a couple at a time to see how it feels, and then continue. And like what you just said earlier, we may need to do it more often. And especially if you start feeling them, dreaming about them, they show up in your life, things like that, you want to do a little bit more to be more active, especially if those cords are really deep and you've had them for years. Like the tree roots, it's like it's digging deep. And how do we begin to manage that? Mm-hmm. So the first thing you want to do is start thinking about who in your list that you want to begin to cord cut, and maybe even journal the reasons why you want to do some cord cutting. Is it maybe they weren't honest with you? You couldn't trust them. They made you feel not good about yourself. Were you neglected? Did they not see your value? Whatever that story is that you told yourself. And I think all of us have had some of those people in our life.
Everyone has.
Yeah, we all are. And I know I've done things to people that have hurt them. So
not purposely, but still,
unintentional. Yeah. So you want to be able to really get a feeling of who this is, what you're trying to release, and the purpose of it. There are so many things you can do. Matter of fact, I even researched on Amazon, and they sell cord cutting kits.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, if Amazon has them, they're becoming more
I think we need to create that.
So depending on who you are, what other, things you believe in your own culture, if you have things that you already do in your belief system, that's fine as well. Part of this then would be, drinking lots of water, lighting candles, perhaps, creating an intention of what you're trying to do. You can do an Epsom salt bath. And I've done lots of Epsom salt baths to do cord cutting. And the Epsom salt bath is just hot water. You put your Epsom salt, you can put lavender or other types of oils. As a matter of fact, there are some oils that you can use for cord cutting, but it's all about intention. Mm-hmm. You're putting the intention there. Light a few candles, listen to music, and begin to imagining yourself actually cutting this cord. I usually do it from my solar plexus, but you can do it from your heart. You can do it from any part of your body, but that's where I go. And then I imagine cutting that cord, whether it's with scissors, a saw, or breaking it. Again, use your imagination. I see that cord with that individual, and I watch them leave, sending them all the love that they will find their journey, their peace, what they need. And also thanking them for what they've given me, which may not be always a positive thing, but what did I learn from that journey?
What's the lesson? Yeah.
And that's a really easy one for a lot of people to do, just to go into that and have that energy. Some people do smudging, which is normally it's with sage. I have never done that with a cord cutting, but I have done it where I want to shift energy in a space. Mm-hmm. So if you're feeling that energy in your space, you may want to include smudging in your environment.
So maybe visualize the cord cutting and then smudge afterwards to release that energy or change that energy.
It's like putting the last stamp on it or the signature. Say, I'm done with this. I don't want to.
So what you're telling people is to go in a little meditation, imagine that cord cutting that you just described, and then afterwards maybe take this Epsom salt bath or do the cord cutting in your mind during an Epsom salt, during the bath, smudge afterwards.
You can do any order you want. If you're Catholic, maybe you want to do some holy water. So if you have a certain ritual or belief system, you can bring that in. People like rose water. That's another one. Maybe it's washing your hands or writing in the paper and then burying it or burning it so that you're also doing another release after the cord cutting. You're using your imagination to imagine that cord being severed, whatever way it looks for you. I've had people tell me, oh yeah, I cut it, I burned it, I shredded it.
Can you actually have, instead of just visualizing it, can you create a ritual around it with an actual cord, straw? You described how you visualize it, but I would assume it would be
so for some
twine
people,
or
they
something.
will take a twine of some sort and do the ritual. They're lighting candles, playing their music, they're journaling the information, and then they put cords around their feet and their hands.
So in the journaling, would you say you're writing down, like you said, what this individual gave you,
what you wish them,
what you wish for them going forward, what you wish for yourself going forward,
and say,
create that ritual to release it then?
It should all be done with love. And the hard thing about doing these releases is that we have a lot of anger around how we've been feeling.
So then fold up your little paper and bury it or burn it, you said. Okay.
Or flushing you down the toilet, I don't care, but you want to put it back into Mother Earth. If you really want to have the tying, you can do this on your own, but you can also have someone doing it with you if you feel like that's better. Maybe you're releasing the same type of situation. But you can tie it around your hands and then go through some of the ritual and then untie it. You can then burn that string or rope, whatever you're using, bury it.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so whatever you want to do to release
Lots of different ways.
Yeah, and I think most people, if you use a little of your imagination or begin to think about things in the past, that's going to allow you to say, this is what I want to do. And there's no wrong way to do it, which is really beautiful. People think, well, what's first, what's second? What feels right for you? If you do, let's say in the beginning, you do a very intense cord cutting, but within a couple of days, maybe a week, you're going, I feel it again or whatever. Do a simple one. It might be, again, just writing something and burning it. It might be spraying yourself with, rose water, things like that.
Using essential oils.
Using any kind of essential oils for releasing. The letting go part of this, which is what they teach in a lot of the cord cutting, you may want to go back and say, maybe I'm not ready to release this. So let's say that you do have a lot of anger or you're feeling like you should have gotten an apology, whatever the story is. If your intention of the cord cutting is to release it, but you're still carrying some of that energy around it, there may be more work for you to do so that it's a real clean cut. Because you want to go into it with the idea of, I've learned, I'm releasing, I don't want to carry this. It will open yourself up to other people coming into your life that may still be teachers or things like that, but realize that now you feel it and you can decide how to, basically terminate or cut the cord earlier than holding on to it maybe 10, 15, 20 years. We want to move it quicker. I wonder if you can lose weight by cord cutting.
Oh, dear.
Well, if you think about how much we carry energetically with our stories, and most of these stories we're feeling like a victim. So if you can release some of those things and feel like you're not always still connected to that vibration, does it help you feel lighter where you have more energy? You have the ability to feel lighter in life. And I think that it can help where people go, this feels really good. When we put ourselves to that place of clarity, it's one of those things that maybe you want to remind yourself during the day. Maybe you cut cords in the evening, and next day or so, you're going to work or you're going to the grocery store, whatever, and you're all of a sudden feeling that. Imagine real quickly that cord is being cut again or unplugged.
Okay.
To keep, because we get comfortable with certain things and we want to be able to release that energy. What do you think about this?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And rituals are, people think that this is, wow, that's really weird, Deb. We have traditions and rituals we do in all cultures, marriage, death.
We don't want to over ritualize our lives.
No.
Because we've heard,
where people just do way too much.
yeah, it's like I have a ritual by the time I brush my hair and teeth in the morning through the time I
Go to bed.
Yeah. And while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait a minute. You're over ritualized.
Yes. It's all about intention. It's not overcrowding, not feeling that fear.
Mm-hmm.
But when we look at rituals in all cultures, whether it's a marriage, celebration, a divorce. I didn't mean a divorce.
Well, that's a cord cutting.
It's a cord cutting
and a ritual.
Thank you, guys. But it could be, someone's death, or it could be like we see right now. It's all about these people graduating. There's a celebration. They're going on to another part of their life.
Mm-hmm.
So rituals are a constant thing in culture. So this is just another one you can add. And you can implement what you already have in your life that can be helpful.
So you kind of wrote down a little blessing that we're going to share with people if they need if they need some help with what sort of a blessing.
And these are just guidelines, because a lot of people that are new to even this type of work or the idea of cord cutting are like, well, what do I say? What do I do? And to me, it's how you feel. But if you're not in that place and you feel, I don't want to do it wrong, there's just a couple of things that we can say or do that can be helpful. I can't walk and chew gum.
Yes, you can.
Do you want to read this? Because you're really
sure.
good at reading versus me.
I now release any and all energetic cords that do not serve my highest good. I release you and I release myself from these binds. All cords across all dimensions, times, and planes, never to return again. I hereby release these energetic cords and recover all positive energy that was once lost. My energy flows back to me, filling me once again with vitality and creating a now peaceful, energetic boundary of love and light.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Good job, Deb Shepherd.
Yeah. Well, I'm dyslexic, so sometimes I go to read it and it takes me twice as long. So I get Dana to do it for me. Thank you so much. The thing is, it's what works for you. You don't want to put anything negative. You don't want to put where you're wishing, poor things for others.
It's all love and light.
Love and light. And start journaling after that. How are you feeling? What's showing up for you? Do you feel like your heart's better? Or are you grieving? So the other part of cord cutting is if you're feeling sad, it doesn't mean you didn't do it right, but you've been holding on to that energy for a very long time. When you remove it, all of a sudden your body begins to shift and thinking, I'm sad, because you missed a piece of what you were holding on to for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do get sad or overwhelmed, it's very normal. It's just part of that grief. Take care of yourself, nurture yourself, eat right, get a massage, get Reiki, be outdoors in Mother Earth, anything that will help you shift that vibration.
Hold your chakra stones.
Mm-hmm. And
your mala.
My favorite thing is humor.
Mm-hmm. That's when you take the Epsom salt bath too, and watch some comedy in the bathtub.
Yeah. Dana knows if I have one of those days, she goes, okay, what do we want to watch?
Yeah.
And it's just to distract me and move my energy. So if you're feeling grief in your heart, that's just because that was there for such a long time and it doesn't serve you. So you're removing it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can fill it up with love and joy and other things, which is really, you have an opportunity to put other things in that place to replace it.
Yeah.
Are you ready to do some cord cutting?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we should start doing that tonight.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you for joining us on this podcast with cord cutting. I hope it finds you great peace and joy. And Dana, thank you for joining me for this fabulous podcast. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope it inspired you. If you enjoyed our conversation, make sure you subscribe so that you get notified of new episodes. And let's get connected. Visit debshepherd.com for more insights, support, workshops, and a book a session with me. And finally, always remember, your loved ones in spirit are just a thought away. Even though they're on the other side, they're always by your side.